Welcome back to another episode of Dyslexia News. In this series, we discuss news and topics that go on in the dyslexia community. So make sure you like this video, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. This is a very special one. It centers all around our Go Red campaign. Here are the topics we're going to be covering in this episode. A roundup of our Go Red campaign and all the amazing interactions we had with this incredible community. Succeed with Dyslexia's Donna Stevenson hosted a roundtable with some incredible individuals about the importance and need to push the awareness of dyslexia and neurodiversity. We'll then hear from Darren Clark as he went live on Instagram with Louise Wyper to chat about her lived-in experience of dyslexia and how that has played a part in her career. Darren also featured Natalie Brooks on Instagram Live as well, and they spoke about Natalie's journey of not just living with dyslexia, but thriving and succeeding. There are so many incredible takeaways from these conversations, and we hope you enjoy them as much as we have. The end of October marked another successful Go Red campaign here at Succeed with Dyslexia. But I want to stress that it wasn't just us here at Succeed that made this so successful. It was you, me, and all the incredible individuals around the world that made this campaign so special. Go Red For Dyslexia is a global campaign all about changing the narrative for people living with dyslexia and low literacy. Now, there are many colors that we could have chosen for our Go Red campaign, but we chose red for a very special and empowering reason. We're all familiar with the color red. It's always associated with mistakes, corrections, crossing out, and disapproval. Since 2019, Go Red For Dyslexia has helped spread awareness for dyslexia by changing the narrative and taking back the feelings of shame and low self-esteem so many dyslexic learners feel by encouraging people to turn anything and everything red. Whether it's wearing a piece of clothing or even lighting up a building, we've seen an influx of support from a wide range of individuals, businesses, prisons, and institutions. So here's an inside look at what many incredible individuals have done. We'll keep all these amazing experiences and memories with us as we look forward to Go Red in 2023. And we would, of course, love for you to get involved, and you can learn more at our website. We love engaging with the community, and we love connecting with you. We want to show the world that you can not only just live with dyslexia, you can thrive. You can succeed with dyslexia. Up next, we're going to be touching on the need and push for dyslexia awareness and what we can continue to do to innovate and streamline this process in order to reach more individuals within the dyslexia community. This discussion is hosted by Succeed with Dyslexia's Donna Stevenson, and joining her is Pat Payne, Caroline Falk, Sue Floor, Aaron Smith, and Ruth Falzon.
Do we feel optimistic about where we're at in our society, in our culture, community around dyslexia? Sue, I know for many years you were head of policy at the British Dyslexia Association. So had that big overview. If I may come to you first then, do you feel optimistic about where we're at? If you don't, what needs to be done? If you do, why are you so positive? Big question, I do apologise, but if anyone can start us off, it'll be you, Sue.
Oh dear, I don't know about that. It's really sad that there is still so much work to be done. Yeah, I'm not optimistic, even with our awareness. We've got to carry on and fight for this. I think you know as much as I do, Donna, that there's still so much to be done. When we did interviews with companies, it was really disheartening to find out that they didn't know anything about dyslexia, so many of them. So few were supportive of dyslexics in the workplace. So I think,
Yeah, long way to go. So I guess we really need Awareness Month weekday this year, really, don't we? And may it continue. Pat, may I come? Sorry, Sue. May I come to you, Pat? Then, optimistic. What are your feelings on where we're at these days with dyslexia?
I'm disappointed with all the work that some of us have been doing for such a long time. We're still a long way away, but I think we are moving forward. I think, things are better, certainly in our area. There are more people who know. I pick up Sue's point about the employers, because I'm on the helpline a lot. I am still staggered at the number of health people who come to me where they and their line managers know nothing about dyslexia, when BDA did that really, really good book with all about health service, and it's not filtered through their own organisation. That's something that really does bug me, that, I say, look, there's this book, take it to your line manager. They're not sharing that within their own group, and that I found very, very frustrating. Schools are obviously frustrating. I wish I was on Caroline's page, that schools are really looking at being dyslexia friendly, but so many are just not. So we still have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, so it's patchy. Ruth, what are your thoughts then on where we're at these days with our friends overseas, over in Malta, but just generally, do you feel optimistic about where we're at these days around dyslexia?
That's a very loaded question for me. I mean, we've improved, but way too slowly and not enough.
Yeah.
So for me, it's disheartening, as I said before, that in this age, in the civilized days we're at, we're still having problems, as Pat said, with schools not being dyslexia friendly, with students going home crying because of some off-the-cuff comment or some lack of understanding or some implied non-verbals, which are, children with dyslexia would be very quick to pick up on. So I have to say that I don't think we've moved as fast as we can. And there's still much more to be done.
Caroline, may I come to you with the same question?
I am desperately trying to be optimistic, but for me, change isn't happening fast enough. I was interested to hear Pat's comment. I too run a helpline and have done for a number of years now, and I'm staggered how many NHS employees ring me. And there again, it is obvious that their immediate line manager has not got a clue. And I have to explain, no, you need to go to HR, and I know the BDA provided training, certainly for one particular trust near us. And so it's a bit disheartening. You think, no, these people shouldn't need to be ringing me or emailing. So the employer side worries me. How do all employers, how do they get to find out what they should be doing? What are reasonable adjustments in the workplace? Do they know about access to work? How do they do that? So that's tricky. And then when it comes to the school side, yes, we're trying so hard in Wiltshire, and we're very, very lucky. We've got a brilliant SEN team, advisory teachers. And in Wiltshire, they will support all schools, not just where there are pupils with EHC plans. So it's really, really good news. But recently, I've been trying to get to the bottom of what teachers learn, when they're training. And there was it was a recent APPG meeting, I think recently, where they were saying that, yes, where a teacher is doing an educational studies type degree, then yes, they cover SENs and they learn about dyslexia and so on. Brilliant. However, 85% of teachers don't go down that route. They do their degree and then they do a year PGCE and they're out in schools most of the time. And there simply isn't enough time for them to cover the theory and to learn about SEN. They might have an afternoon session on the code of practice, but they start their teaching career without that awareness of or the dyslexics. They will be teaching dyslexics in every single class, and they probably perhaps don't realise that. And so that's tricky. And then you're relying on the ethos of the school to make sure staff, colleagues understand about dyslexia. It is the most common, isn't it, specific learning difficulty they're going to come across. And then I discovered very, very recently that SENCOs, when they do their training, their national award, it's very general. It's all about implementing the SEN code of practice, but they don't necessarily learn about the different SENs or about dyslexia. So how can a teacher go to their SENCO and say, oh, excuse me, I think, this child might be dyslexic or whatever, if the SENCO doesn't have that knowledge? So I'm feeling a bit frustrated, thinking, how on earth? And the only way forward is if, in an ideal world, every school has got a teacher who is qualified in dyslexia. In Wiltshire, some years ago, we tried to make sure that there was one teacher in every secondary school, which was great, but gradually they all retired. So now there aren't. So it is tricky, and I'm concerned that, especially in the autumn, it's a lovely, fantastic idea. Second reading of a bill going through Parliament, whereby the idea is that all primary schools pupils will be assessed or screened for dyslexia very early on. But then if the teachers don't have the knowledge of how to teach that child in a dyslexia-friendly way, how's it going to work? What's the point? Yeah. And then for parents who are desperate to get to the bottom of things and understand their child, they're having to go privately to get a proper assessment carried out. And that's not right.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Caroline. What you've shared there is, it reflects what our other experts said. It's really mixed. And I know, between you all, the years, the decades of service you've given, the journey is still a long way to go. I'm hoping the fact that this year we had the first National Dyslexia Show is a step in the right direction. So, Aaron, I'm going to come to you for you to tell us, do you feel optimistic as the instigator of this show, which is now going to run annually? Yeah. Where are we at in your opinion?
So the thing that I look at is that I've been involved in the world of dyslexia for over 20 years. And in 20 years, we have moved up and moved back. We keep going up a little bit, go down a little bit. And I look at things like, I know things that Caroline's done, Pat's done, Sue's done. I don't know Ruth that well, but I do know Malta is quite good. I did a call to a school in Malta with my dyslexia hat. Was brilliant. To talk to students, they asked me some amazing questions. And the thing about what it is for me is that things are changing, but not always for the best. I think that the patchy enough the patchy concept is there, and it's like where I live I live in Leicester City. We're really lucky. We're still an authority that we're a maintained authority. We maintain all our schools. We have nearly 22 dyslexia specialist teachers, right, in our authority, right, supporting all of our schools. There's not enough teachers to support all of our schools. But we know most of these schools are going to become academies over the next 5 or 6 years. And what's going to happen, we just don't know. So that is a positive. But we know then Leicester County, which every school is an academy, like there is 2 specialist teachers for the whole county of Leicestershire. And that to me doesn't add up. It doesn't work. So I'm not optimistic, but I am optimistic because the point about it is that we need to keep doing this awareness. So we need to looking at that demographic. And you've, like Caroline and Pat have commented about the workplace. Now I think the workplace is an area that is growing. And I look at this in the area of growth around access to work, around the area of awareness. And I look at companies like Dyslexia Box as a prime example. They were a very small company, right? And literally what they were doing, they were selling scanning pens and reading rulers, right? And now there's 6 members of staff now that are working in companies like that. They've just announced that they just did an audit for the Money Supermarket Group. So to me, companies are changing, and Microsoft is one of them. Microsoft has a mission to empower every person in every organization on the planet to achieve more, and we can only do that from having someone at the top that understands disability, that understands cognitive. And if you read Hit Refresh, which is Satya Nadella's book, he mentions that his daughter has cognitive difficulties. We don't know what that means. We could assume that is dyslexia. We don't know. But the point of that is that as companies like Microsoft and Apple and KPMG and other companies are starting to embed better practices around dyslexia and neurodiversity and understanding and actually talking about it, because that's the biggest thing, is we don't talk about it enough, means that then we should start changing it. But we still have an education system. Lorraine Peterson, OBE, says we have a 21st we have an intake of an intake of a 21st century students with a 19th century education system. And that is what we have, and that is what we have. So we have to get policymakers to change that and actually understand that people with dyslexia can't do everything that we think they should do, and using a pen every day, like sorry, how many of us use a pen at work? Not all of us. I think we still have to teach. We still have to teach writing. We still have to teach reading. We still have to do it. But we should use technology more and support people. But am I optimistic? Yes, I'm optimistic. Yes, we are changing the thing. If we have achieved what we wanted to achieve, we wouldn't be having this conversation. All of us wouldn't be doing what we're doing today. We wouldn't be all fighting for dyslexic people. For me, having 2,500 people come to the dyslexia show, getting that informed choice, because that's what I'm all about, is actually that there is so many things out there. There's so many things. There's everything from a piece of software to a piece of technology that can support a dyslexic, to schemes like Access to Work, EHCPs, Disability Student Allowance. They're there, and we should use them for the value they're there for, and hopefully start changing people's minds and actually, in one sense, lower down these phone calls and actually have the phone calls that Pat and Caroline have and Sue has had in the past. They actually become the more complex question. It's like, okay, we're at this stage. We need to understand that, because we can take Access to Work as a prime example. Without Access to Work, I wouldn't be feeding into society. I wouldn't have 4 companies, because I need my support worker, and I use my support worker to support me, to allow me to do what I do. I always have classed myself as a severely dyslexic adult, and it's interesting that I also didn't realise how much I high functioning and mask my difficulties. It was fascinating to me after Dyslexia show. So am I optimistic? Yes, I'm optimistic that we're moving forward. Have we achieved as much as we need to? No, we haven't. Do we need to achieve more? Yes. Do we need to keep talking about dyslexia? Yes. Do we need to actually change the education system? Yes.
This next conversation is one of resilience and determination. Louise shares with us her experience in the workplace and how she overcame obstacles and reached her goals.
At school, for high school, to be a teacher eventually, when I decided, for me, I studied law and business, right? I found myself at university doing that course as well. That kind of just found me. I didn't sit and think, oh, mum, dad, I want to be a lawyer, or I want to be, it didn't happen like that for me, and that's okay. Like, I just believe the universe has got its path for you and you're on what you're on. But I did think at one point, right, okay, I'm nearly finished my honours degree here. I could go do my LLB to be a solicitor, or I could do my PGDE to be a teacher 1 year. And then I thought I had to then think, right, okay, what's all of my experiences been in the workplace, like all these things that we did talk about. And I thought to myself, right, what am I going to be happiest doing? Because at the end of the day, this is your career now. You're going to be doing it for the rest of your life. And I thought, I love young people. I love chatting to people. I love business. That's my subject that I teach. And I thought, right, okay, well, I'm choosing now, I'll go do my PGDE to do that. But even to get into my PGDE, like I was 2 weeks into the course at Strathclyde University at this point, and I was making my flowers. I'm a florist as well. I've got my own flower business. I was making my flowers at this point. And I was actually, my granny granddad had built me a flower hut. I was in this flower hut working at the point, and the lecturer or the course head phoned me, and he was like, Louise, you've not even given us your higher English certificate. Where is it? And I'm like, what are you talking about? You've got it. And he's like, no, the one that's on here says you've got a D. And I was like, you're joking me. And I knew I didn't have any other certificate. And he was like, no, you need a C. at least to get in. And I was like, oh my God, but technically a D is a pass in higher English, but it's just not enough to get into teaching. So they kicked me out the course. So I ended up like getting literally kicked out the course, and I was like, you're joking me. And I'd already paid out my own money to go do my ECDL, which I needed from the business side of things to teach, and then also I had to pay for my National 5 maths because I never did that in school, so that cost me money. And then I was like, you joking me? So that's another whole year of my life on hold when I'd realised at this point this is what I wanted to do. So then I had to go pay and do my higher English. So it's all right, like I've got my higher English now, it's fine. But you think it was honestly knock after knock, and I'm so glad that I am strong, that my parents just read me clearly to be so strong, because I thought so many people would have went, okay, that's not for me. And I feel like it was such a battle to get to where I am. And then even that NQT year was a real battle as well, like, and it was just because I was on this journey of trying to discover myself still, and I felt like, well, people don't like me, they think I'm an idiot, like, and it's just all this that's going through your head. And then you really need to push, because you need to just say to yourself at the end of the day, like, no, this is what I've chosen to do, I love what I do, the like learners enjoy me as their teacher, clearly they're telling me they're happy to come to my class, which is so important, having like the students actually come and look forward to your subject coming in, and that's it for you. And it's just like, well, no, I'm going to be doing this, and I'm worthy of doing this, and it's just the fight that you have to take. And now honestly it's a total different chapter for me since I started back this new term in my new school, and it's been incredible. And I'm so glad that I persevered, because I'd been so angry at myself if I thought, okay, and I'm going to let everybody tell me what to do. And that's not the case.
Many individuals who have dyslexia or are neurodiverse often feel like they are crippled in many aspects of their lives. However, Natalie teaches us that those with dyslexia or neurodiversity can not only just live, but thrive and succeed.
This is why it's fantastic having a community and building these and sharing these collective stories, because within those stories, yes, there's the frustration and maybe all these different things that kind of come around, and then it's the relief when it's actually done. But I think it's that not feeling like you're completely different and completely isolated and completely alone. And how impactful do you think? Well, we know, but your community is helped. The thing that you set up, how do you feel it's helped your community be able to connect with each other?
I was talking to someone about this the other day, and they said, oh, so basically you have like a kind of like therapy session, like you're this is like, because they said, oh, is your Instagram like your personal diary? And I said, no, it's more akin to my personal therapy session. I genuinely, I can't overstate how much I used to feel like dirt about being dyslexic, and how it really crippled me. And every decision was a private, quiet, like, no, I'm not going to do that, I'm dyslexic. No, I can't do that, I'm dyslexic. And everything was very quiet, very just personal to me. And it'd be like, no, I'm not going to do that, I'm dyslexic. And I think for me, what I'm so lucky about with my reach of my account and the people that, connect with me, is that I've had the opportunity to kind of crowdsource so much information on dyslexia. I've spoken to, at this point, thousands and thousands of dyslexic people, and the beauty of our brains is we're great pattern recognition. So I notice themes when I'm having conversations with people. And what I realize, and what I've kind of tried to talk a little bit about today, is that you never stop with the problems. There's no end game where you don't have dyslexic challenges anymore. That world doesn't exist. But what the people who were thriving with dyslexia had is that they just didn't center themselves on that. They went, okay, I have made that mistake, but also I'm great at this, or you know what, it is a good story, so c'est la vie. Or people make mistakes, that's just life, I happen to make a couple more. And that attitude is the difference between, quite often, people who are struggling and people who aren't. And I noticed that really early on, and started to try and do that myself. And so I guess I had the reinforcement of seeing people live that version of themselves, also watching other people change as well, watching people go from that struggle bus to actually, you know what, I just don't care actually that these things happen, and how much of a difference it makes other people, that it keeps me focused on being like that as well.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of what the account has given to me, and the kind of the ability of the community is taught me so much, but also it kind of keeps me accountable as well, I guess.
That brings us to the end of this episode, and we'd like to once again thank everyone who got involved with our Go Red campaign. And we can't wait to see what the future holds. If you like this video, please feel free to click this link here and view episode 19. You just watched episode 20, and we come out with a new episode every single month in the hopes of spreading more awareness about dyslexia. If you have any comments or questions, leave them in the comments below. And once again, thank you so much for watching.